Tolu, we want to write a book. I'm like, whenever you're ready, let me know. I'm ready to support you in whatever capacity I can.
But they don't follow
But
through.
they don't follow through.
What do you think holds people back in that area? Do you think it's like fear of the unknown, uncertainty, or just procrastination?
Yeah, I think for the most part, yeah, people procrastinate. People, like, I will also agree with you, like in terms of fear of the unknown as well, because as a writer, once you open up your idea to the world, you become vulnerable.
Episode 9, let's have it. So we've got Mr. Tolu on. I've wanted to get you on the podcast for the last couple of weeks because it's been quite a long time since I've actually bumped into somebody who's doing so much creatively, but like specifically for, I suppose, the Black community as well. So I thought it'd be interesting to get you on and talk about some of your personal experiences, some of the stuff that's maybe inspired you to do so much writing, some of the stuff that's inspired some of your books as well. But yeah, if you would like to just introduce yourself for some of the people that might not know who you are.
Thanks for having me on. First introduction. Rah! Yeah, so Tolu Akinyemi, also known as Tolu the Lion of Newcastle,
Love
a multiple award-winning author in the genres of poetry, short stories, children's literature, and essays. Yeah, I live in Newcastle upon Tyne, and and I'm a writer who loves to, write about the human experience, the human condition. My works, I've written powerful poetry around the Black experience with Black Does Not Equal Inferior, Born in Lockdown, a poem that examines the COVID pandemic, which we all experienced as well. And, poems of grief and sadness in On the Train to Hell. I've also written the collection of poems on financial crime compliance, architects of a cleaner financial system. And there's a book that explores, areas, issues that affect us all, because everything around money matters, financial matters, is also part of like the human condition as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm a writer who loves to just experiment, try out new things, and just write about the things that affect us all, which is, universal to us all. I also have a collection of poems on mental health. Everybody don't Kulu mental. And Kulu mental is a pidgin acronym in Nigeria saying that everybody is going crazy, everybody is going mad. And with everything happening in the world today, I think it would be all right to say, we are all going Kulu mental as well.
Love that. The first thing I would say about yourself, Tolu, is you strike me as somebody who's very humble, because you've done a lot of work, you've done a lot of writing, and sometimes when you're brilliantly talented at this sort of thing, it can go unseen, unnoticed. So the first thing I'd say is I was like kind of took away by how humble you are in that you've produced all of this and you've created all of this. But it's actually amazing work to actually see somebody putting out there. And you also have your own publishing company, you were saying?
Yeah, the Lion of Newcastle. And I think for me, in terms of, you talked about humility, I see it as a privilege as well. Like the book title in front of the collection of inspirational essays, Unravel Your Hidden Gems, says we need to unravel. The title is Unravel Your Hidden Gems. We all have hidden gems. I have mine, you have yours, and everyone out there as well is watching this as well. Everyone has hidden gems. Yeah. But until we come to that point of realization that, come on, we need to unravel this. I remember many years ago working within financial services sector in the UK, and I've been a writer way back in Nigeria, but I didn't want people to know. I had my blog, happening. I used to write a lot, but I didn't want anybody to know, like, that I'm a writer. But it came to a point I felt like, now, Tolu, this is the time. You need to unravel all of these hidden gems. There are people out there who were writing, who used to read, like published authors who used to read my blog, and they knew what I was made of, like, that this guy is a really good writer. But if I don't actually produce work, there will be nothing to my name. So I
Mm,
think even though humility, but I also see it as a privilege because there's a difference between having the gift and the talent,
mm,
but and also being able to roar because the book, my first book, Dead Lions Don't Roar. So when you are dead, you are no longer able to roar. When you have the gems within, if you do not unravel it, nobody will know about you.
mhm.
So I think so for me, I see it as a privilege that I've been able to unravel my own hidden gems, which has led to to all of these books. So for me, that's quite very important to me.
Love that, and I think a little bit of that lives within all of us, you know. So I love that that's the primary message that you took away from the experience of putting all of this out into the world. Um, when you actually launched your publishing company, um, what was the intentions behind that? Was that something that was something that was like behind all of this work, or did that come afterwards, or did it come before it?
Yeah, so initially I was, publishing for myself, self-publishing for myself.
Hmm.
Then it came to a point I felt like, oh, I don't want to be the only one like just doing this for myself. I know there are a
Mm.
lot of other authors. And at that time I felt like especially black writers who either to would not have had the opportunity.
They
We,
needed
we
like a central platform to go
yeah,
to. So
yeah, even in the UK, we know what the numbers are in terms of UK publishing and with black writers in terms of representation and everything. So I felt like it's very important as well to have a platform because for me, I believe so much in creating platforms rather than waiting. I think most times, I think the challenge we people have for the most part is that we are waiting for people to present to us like the perfect opportunity.
mm,
We feel like, oh, we need we need this, we need that, but start with what you are first.
yeah, sometimes we put a lot of steps in between where we are and where we want to be.
Yeah, then we don't get to do anything. But for me, I feel like as a creative as well, I don't want to just be a creative. I want to be a creator. So a creator in the sense that create platforms, create opportunities for other people to thrive as well.
Yeah,
Because the more opportunities you create for others, the more doors you're opening up to yourself as well. Be-
absolutely.
Yeah, so the publishing imprint came from a place of I needed to not just platform myself, but platform other people as well, especially black writers.
Love that. Love that. It really does provide a great opportunity for people who, share a similar talent.
Yeah.
People who maybe have put all these steps in between themselves and their creativity, and making the most out of it. So I love that. So you're actually born in Nigeria.
Yeah.
You came over to the UK when you were how old?
Yeah, so I was I think 26, 27 there about around there.
So we're talking about, and this was just off camera, but we're talking about some of the things that have influenced some of your writing, and it has been centered around the human experience. Has a lot of it been based on how you grew up in Nigeria, or more your experience in the UK?
Yeah, so I think my writings, like I mentioned when we were talking, it's more like universal in nature.
Mm.
So, loss, love, life, death, and issues that affect us all as humans.
So the
Yes.
emotions
Yeah,
that
the,
you've
yeah,
experienced.
the emotions I've experienced, other people's experiences.
Hmm.
Because as a creative, you're not just if I were to be writing only about my experience, people will get tired as well. So
Hmm.
it has to be like just work of imagination, work of fiction as well. Yeah. So, but yeah, mainly around growing up in Nigeria, I came from like a lowly family initially when we started out. We moved to Lagos at some point with the family. My dad moved initially. So my dad used to teach English and literary studies at the
Mm.
University of Ibadan in southwestern Nigeria. And I think that really shaped my life as well, my life as a writer. Because what that did for me personally was that we had a lot of books in the house.
Mm.
So we had like a lot of literature, African
So you were
literature.
reading from quite early on
Yeah, and I used to be like so introverted as well. Used to stay
because
in,
of it.
yeah, used to stay indoors for the most part, and yeah, so I think that really helped. Like in terms of, just conditioning me to become a writer. I used to like just introspect a lot.
Yeah.
I-
You take a lot of ideas in when you read more,
yeah.
and it naturally progresses to you wanting to express more, and writing feels like the most natural next step. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think at that time as well, just, reading, so initially I used to read a lot. I used to read so much.
Mm.
Then I started journaling as well, like just write things. I had this mind that wanted to express. I had so much within and I needed to like express. So I used to like journal a lot, just document things happening around the world. And I think what reading does to you is that it helps your world view.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I
helps you to
think
see the world from like a very
yeah.
bigger perspective as well.
Allows you to zoom out and think, actually what's really going on beyond my own perspective.
Yeah.
And to consider that. I did find as well when I first started reading a little bit more, it helped with my retention
Yeah.
of information as well. Do you find you're able to retain a lot of the information that you've put in your books, or does some of it fade away?
Yeah, I think with time, but I'm able to retain some, even if you wake me up from sleep.
Do you have anything that you've retained from this one? Unravel your hidden gems.
Yeah, and I think I just mentioned, so I have a quote: "Time is life, use it wisely." So I think I have an essay in there admonishing us that time is life, and we need to use our time wisely.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote something around developing excellence as a workplace culture as well.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, as a writer and also as a career person working within financial services, if I'm telling people like, "Oh, I'm a writer," live your best life, excellence, develop excellence as a workplace culture, I need to show that I'm excellent as well
Mm-hmm.
in my work. You don't preach to people to be excellent and you can't showcase that. So that means continuously striving to be a better version of myself.
Mm.
So then I also, what we talk around, the publishing imprint. You're looking to do something, you want to start a business, you have an idea. Start with what you have. Do not wait for perfect conditions because the conditions would never ever be perfect.
Yeah.
So if you have an idea, you have a business, you want to write a book. I have people who have been telling me for years now that, "Tolu, we want to write a book." I'm like, whenever you're ready, let me know. I'm ready to support you in whatever capacity I can.
But they don't follow through.
They don't follow through. So, but if it's just, your outline, the first
What do you
chapter.
think holds people back in that area? Do you think it's like fear of the unknown, uncertainty, or just procrastination?
Yeah, I think for the most part, people procrastinate. People, like, I will also agree with you, like in terms of fear of the unknown as well, because as a writer, once you open up your idea to the world, you become vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like people would like look into your life, oh, what's it writing about? You like vulnerable. It could be in the good and in the bad way as well, because some people can't take it like the negativity around. Maybe someone gives you like a negative critique about your work and all. I remember a story where an author that I knew, someone gave him like a 1-star review. And he was going, he had to go and retaliate as well because it was another author who had given him that 1-star review. So he also retaliated by giving all the other authors' book 1-star reviews. So it goes to show that people
can be a bit of a toxic environment.
Yeah, toxic environment. People could take it like personal. And then you now have to like go and rent an army of people to just give him like positive reviews. So, but if you see I think my advice regarding that would be, do not be so emotional about like your work. Then
detach from it.
Yeah, detach yourself from it. Either positive or negative reviews. Don't be so emotional. It's not like a do or die affair. And even with life as well, we must be open to like taking feedback. So if I'm behaving if I'm moving like a certain type of way, and my friend or you talk to me, you say, "Tolu, this isn't right." I shouldn't just go on the self-defense like straight away.
Absolutely.
I should be ready to like, "Oh, what's it saying? Does it make sense?" Because I think what that does for us is that it helps us like just to see what we can improve on.
Yeah, it gives us space to adapt.
Yeah.
There's a deep wisdom in that, I think. There's a deep
100%.
wisdom in that, 100%. Because you can't be too sensitive.
Yeah.
You can't be too sensitive to criticism that you're incapable of adapting.
Yeah. So I think, and that's helped me on my writing journey as well, just being able to adapt. And I think was at a festival many years ago, and someone asked me, was like, oh, is there anything you've written and you felt like you shouldn't publish? And I said, and my response to that was that I think for the most part, yeah, I love to like publish all of my writings, but with the world we live in today, we should also be sensitive to the environment we live in.
Yes.
You don't just say, oh, I don't care. You have to care.
Yeah.
Because it's also, we should have that as writers, as authors, we should have that duty of care. You must be sensitive to the feelings of people as well.
Yeah.
You don't just write, I don't care.
Yeah. You have to be mindful of how people might interpret the information that you're putting out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And at times, people make choices in life as well. And those are choices that you can't actually control them, or you can't, through your own bias, feel like, oh, you can't be judgmental and feel like, oh, that's totally wrong. You can pass a message across, but not coming as like judgmental.
Yeah, you can't be too certain about something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of deep wisdom behind your philosophy on a lot of things. And I'm curious whether this has been through the experience of writing so much and journaling so much, or maybe is it been the people around you and where you've grew up, or is it a bit of both?
So I think I tell people like my first ever, like we go to, as a Christian, we go to church, we have like a pastor, we have all of that. My own first pastor was my father.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so it was the man who taught us, like brought us up in faith, in positivity. I mentioned earlier that we were a family of low beginnings and all of that, but it was so positive. So we would all kneel around the table. We had like living back then in Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria so many years ago. We all kneel around the table, we'll pray together as a family. He would say, oh, someday we would travel outside of the country. Even at that time, I'm no one had an international passport in the family. So it was a man of like deep convictions, a man of deep positivity as well. Yeah, so coming from that background, I think he influenced me greatly just to believe in myself.
Yeah.
I think academics-wise, like through school, I wasn't like, oh, just the stellar student who would crush. I wasn't that student who would just pass all my exams in like flying colors. But I think what I had was just that deep belief that I had that belief that I could make something great out of life. So, but I think my dad really influenced me positively in terms of even dreams and aspirations. He always encouraged, when it was time to come for my master's degree, he encouraged me greatly. He's the sort of father that would, rather than buy like a Benz or buy a flashy car, he would invest in the children. He was a man who stood for education.
Love that.
Yeah, so he believed that you could rise to the top and become the very best in your career, in your field of endeavor. So he would rather invest in that than buy houses or buy all the vanities that. So when his friends were like, buying the latest models of cars and all of that, he would rather just stick to that one car and fund you through your education. So it was so I think it was that kind of person, like positive influence, and with my mom as well. So my mom, she really up until now, she just cares about me, really loves me and all of that. So I think from that family unit, just a family where we sowed what we sowed were like dreams. My dad sold us dreams, sold us, that belief that just whatever you want to, whatever you aspire to become, you can do it. And I think that really helped me, like in carving out a purpose for myself.
Yeah, it's inspired a lot of belief in yourself, and it put faith at like the forefront of what actions you would take in your life. By the sounds of it, was it quite a religious household, or was it not so much?
Yeah, it was quite religious. Like growing up, yeah, we used to go to church. We used to pray together as a family. We used to read the Bible. My dad would share Bible stories with us. Yeah, so it was quite religious. Yeah.
Do you feel like that's influenced your work as well?
Yeah, yeah. I would say yeah, it did as well. Like especially in my early writings. Yeah, yeah. I think my Christian faith really like influenced my work.
Mm.
I'm not someone that would just that would just shy away from that. It played a major part like in my early writings, just knowing that especially writing inspirational poetry initially, then inspirational essays, and yeah, so I think it was just all around my Christian faith, having that belief that whatever I wanted to become in life, it was possible.
Yeah.
And but not just having belief, because for the most part, people want to say, oh, they believe in a God or believe in God that they could achieve anything. But what are you doing? Like, what? Show me your works.
Yeah, this is it. Well, I have my take on belief. I think it's a very powerful force. I
Yeah,
think when you believe in yourself or you believe in something, I genuinely think it drives all your behavior and pretty much who you are as well. It's very hard to talk yourself out of the beliefs that you have for yourself or for your life or for other things. What's your understanding of it? Has that been something that influenced your work as well? Like the power of belief?
yeah. I believe that. Yeah, like you said, belief is a powerful force, and I believe that it's quite powerful as well because we won't be sat here if I ever doubted
Yeah,
my own talent as well.
yeah,
If I ever doubted my purpose in terms
absolutely.
of, and with the belief, 22 books, more books on the way. So it goes to show that if you don't believe that you can do it, then you won't be able to like put anything to work. So I believe for people even watching this, whatever you believe is possible, then just go on to achieve it.
Mm,
It's not just about believing in it. What are you putting like practical steps in place? You want to write a book. You want to start that podcast. You want to start that business. You want to become that entrepreneur. Yeah, you've been believing for years. You've been trusting the process. When are you starting?
mm,
Just do it.
yeah.
And I think for me, I've always like believed in myself. I've always cheered myself on as well.
Hmm.
Because at times when no one believes in you, when no one sees like all of your investments. I remember back then I used to work on the daily rate contracts. And I would like just go, there will be exhibitions, there will be fairs, opportunity to showcase my work. I would leave my day job to go out there. It's because I believe in myself. I believe in my talent.
Mm,
So I think not just for creators, for just people watching this, it's important to believe in yourself.
yeah.
When nobody is standing up for you, when nobody is rooting for you, when nobody believes in you. Because from
It's
even
almost like all you have left, really.
yeah, because even from it could just be one person, one relationship, one connection. It could just be just one meeting that will change your life.
Mm,
And I remember like I've been to like so many events, so many places whereby I just make one connection, even from that supposed like just outing that felt like relevant. And I make like a great connection, get to go to a festival in London or get on a plane to Italy to go perform my work. So at times it might feel like, oh, if you are wasting money, but invest in yourself, believe in yourself.
yeah.
Even believing in yourself is an investment.
Mm,
So I think for me, like belief is the propeller,
yeah.
is a propeller that eats, that steers the vision. Once you believe, then every other thing becomes secondary.
Mm,
And I also believe that passion is very important.
mm,
Yeah, like in my own estimation, I always view like passion over talent in a way
mm-hmm.
because you could be talented, but if you are not passionate, you don't believe in that talent,
Mm,
nothing would happen. But with passion, it stirs the belief, it stirs action, it brings the vision into life. Because if you're passionate about something, you just like you are thinking of it all the time. I remember so many years ago, like everything I'm thinking about is, oh, that book I'm writing, as safe. I've had people read my work and feel like, oh, Tolu wrote this book as safe. Today will be his last day. So it goes to show that even there's a connection with the reader. There's some sort of urgency with the work, as if the world needs to read this.
Yeah, absolutely. There is, especially when that passion's really there. What is your passion?
Yeah, I think my passion is to produce outstanding works of literature that would stand the test of time. And I think in that passion area, I've accomplished that even while I'm still here.
Yeah.
Because most times, for the most part, writers only get their flowers
Yeah.
when they die.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think for the most part, a lot of writers they've gone through the work, or mainly they are late bloomers in terms of finding writing success.
Do you have a favorite writer in different categories? So, for example, do you have a writer that you favor in philosophy or any of the other areas that you've maybe wrote about?
Yeah, I think I would say in terms of writing influences, we had like a lot of like writers on the home front in Nigeria. We had Chinua Achebe, who was renowned for fiction, and I would say his fiction like greatly like influenced me. Like growing up, I used to read a lot of his works.
Were they like novels or
novels? Things Fall Apart.
And what about non-fiction?
Yeah, so for
Things Fall Apart is wavy.
Yeah, wavy. Yeah, so I would say for non-fiction, growing up, I didn't do so much of non-fiction. I did a lot of fiction because obviously for my dad's like background. But I think I read Wole Soyinka's memoir, and so Wole Soyinka too used to be like a great influence as well for me at the like just the fact that a renowned African writer, Nigerian writer, the first Nobel laureate as well. And maybe not just for me, for a lot of like African writers as well. So it's just like a general mentor to a lot of writers. So we've seen like his writing success and what he's gone on to achieve. And so that's inspired a lot of people as well that And I'm a writer who believes that, or just with the life philosophy that if you can do it, then I can. Like, I just believe as well that even what I've done, 22 books, anybody out there can do it as well. That if Tolu can do this, then I can do it. But in terms of poetry, I love Charles Bukowski because I feel like nothing is off the radar for him. Writes about women, writes about, writes a lot, like funny, his writings to me is, at times I just laugh out loud. It's crazy. This crazy guy smokes a lot, drinks a lot. And at times as a creative, even though as a writer, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I'm a writer. If you ask me water or wine, I would say water and loads of water. And just like to write with like a clear mind. But I feel like a lot of like writing that comes from a place of like, I feel like some people have classified me as a philosopher poet. And I feel like tying it back to your other question around influences, I think I'm able to like introspect deeply as well. Considering like my background, I'm someone who can, with my book Unravel Your Hidden Gems, Awaken Your Inner Lion. I'm someone who, when I speak, people feel like, hey, there's some sort of like sense there, there's some sort of wisdom there.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like that's like impacted the audience as well. In terms of people who pick my book and feel like,
So like a philosophical poet. I love that. And do you introspect deeply when you're not writing?
Yeah, when I'm not writing, I think I introspect deeply as well because growing up I was an introvert. And what the introverts do, they like just keep thinking.
You ponder.
Yeah, they ponder, think about, just reflect and all of that. Yeah, so I'm someone who introspects deeply.
And we were saying earlier how obviously when you read a lot as well, it can really like develop your worldview quite a bit.
Yeah.
When you match that up with introspective thinking, do you find yourself gravitating towards certain areas over others, or?
I would say, introspecting just helps me like to just, think about things like from a different perspective as well. So because at times when people like people just destroy relationships as an example because we just get too like emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and what that does is that we don't think
Got you.
about the consequences. People destroy relationships, and when that happens, then we are looking at how can we reconcile people back?
So when you think deeply, it's more around like the emotional understanding of what we do
Yeah. So
and
when
why
you,
we do it.
yeah, when you think deeply, then you don't just act out of impulse.
Mm.
You just because you already as a thinker, you're looking at different angles, different scenarios. If I do this, like at times someone annoys you, and if you take a bottle and you break a bottle and you stab that person, that's a consequence.
Yeah. So
You
there's
could-
more space between how
but-
you think and
yeah.
feel and how you act.
Yeah, because when you introspect, you take everything in, then even your reaction could just be silence.
Mm.
Because you feel like if I say something, it could escalate the situation. So it could just be silence, it could just be walking away. So at times maybe we're in an argument or I'm in an argument, I say nothing. Because I know that the person I'm talking to would never see my own point of view.
Mm-hmm.
It could just be a case of we are dancing around in circles, arguing, and things could escalate.
Yeah.
But imagine if you're quiet, everyone is tranquil, then there wouldn't be any reason at all for like any problem or any issue at all.
You wrote a book, Don Mental, and from my understanding, it has a lot to do with mental health. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, what did you realize after writing that one? After writing that book, what did you realize about mental health, potentially the Black experience as well?
Yeah, I realized that a lot of like for the most part, Black people do not really like to speak about their mental health.
Absolutely not.
We go through a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't have those safe spaces to speak.
Yeah, it can feel a lot more stigmatized because we have different religious or cultural upbringing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and also stigmatized even by like people that we know.
Yeah.
So as an example, if I say, if I tell people that I know that, come on, I'm having like maybe I'm having
time.
issues or they judge me in a certain type of way. So
yeah, of course. But it's prevalent in the Black community, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think also that because people in this day and age, people are so judgmental as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I tell you my issue rather than helping me solve my issue, people that's an item of gossip. Like people are saying, can you imagine? Is being sectioned for maybe drug use or drug misuse and all of that, or drug overdose. Is not all right.
Yeah.
So and even that ties into this, collection of short stories, Inferno of Silence, with the guy, different voices, he can't speak. Because that's still like more mental health as well, because when you have mental health situations, you are not able to like speak. You don't say like
you don't express yourself.
You can't express yourself. There's no confidence out there because you feel like if I tell people like, this is what I'm going through, they will judge me. They won't like people wouldn't really empathize with my situation.
Yeah.
So I think like
I always say the opposite of expression is suppression, and suppression leads to depression.
Yeah. That's apt. So apt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we don't express ourselves, when we suppress those the voices, like
it's internalized and then it's expressed as self-dialogue, but it's not always positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. With some of the other books that you wrote, A God in a Human Body, at a glance I can make some assumptions about what that could be about, but what's it centered around, that one?
I am a God in a human body. Yeah, so funny story how the book came about. So Black does not equal inferior. So someone bought a copy, a friend. So I now signed a copy. Black Queen, you're a God in a human body. That was my signature. Like just like I signed it to her. Black Queen, you're a God in a human body. And that was what led to the birth of a God in a human body. And the God in a human body is just trying to, as humans, we're all gods, we're all creators.
Mm.
What can you, don't see yourself as, don't belittle yourself. You're a God. You are much more than what you even think you are.
Mm.
Because like, we all have dreams, we all have visions, we all like, we talk about the books today. This is the works of a God.
Mm.
And I see life as well from the point of view that life is a spiritual affair. Even though we are physical entities, but there's a spirit being within.
We're spiritual beings that have human experiences.
Yeah. So just think about a phone. Think about a phone. So there's the phone, there's a case and all of that. But within that enclosure, then we now go on the different apps, the Instagram, the Twitter, the TikTok. But we are all like, we are just humans, spiritual beings, habitating
Vessels.
Vessels habitating this physical body. That's why when we sleep at night, I see people that I've not seen like in years.
Yeah. I think they say so. I think
Your
you know,
dreams,
do you know
bro,
what's
yeah.
interesting though, right? They say 1/3 of your life is spent asleep.
Yeah. So, and a
So
lot
if you're-
happens
if you-
within that
if-
realm.
So yeah, so if you're in the UK and you're living to 81, you know, 1/3 of that. Yeah.
I was telling my wife today, I was telling my partner today, like, I dreamt last night, I dreamt about you. You were telling me some things like how good I was treating you in a dream. But you didn't tell me this in real life.
Yeah.
I was just telling you that.
So it's actually the gateway to your subconscious mind.
Yeah, it is.
It's a gateway to your subconscious mind when you're asleep and you're dreaming, right?
Yeah. I remember before we came online and I was telling you about like undergoing the medical procedure and everything. And, you know, with that subconscious mind, someone I knew who had passed, I had a dream like 2 days before that procedure, and they tapped me by the shoulder in that dream. I was like, shit! When I woke up, I was freaking out. Like, shit! This is bad omen. 2 days to going to the operating theater. Someone who was passed pulled me by the shoulder. Are they calling me to the land of the dead? So it goes to show that, like you say, like the subconscious mind as well, then it starts playing within your mind and all of that. And even going into that theater, I was, before I was going with like a lot of positivity. But everything, when I just opened that door, everything was just like somber. And that feeling, and I told the doctor at some point, I don't want to die. Because I knew that's what saying. That's an option as well. Like, it could just be a mistake. Something could just go wrong. Yeah. I felt like at a point, I was like an experiment in the hands of the doctor. And I was like, I was losing control of my body. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to die. I had to say, like, I don't know where that came from. And they were not all came close to me like, oh yeah.
Yeah, nervous energy.
Yeah, you won't die. You won't die. You won't die. Nobody has died in my care before. So it goes to show like we are all spiritual beings. And it took just one dream to bring me closer to that realization that things could go south.
So in your head, when you imagine that situation in your sleep, it actually came into real life.
Yeah.
Well, but because of the anxiety that you are feeling, basically.
And to be fair, there are times that you have some certain dreams or certain situations that happens in the dream that just like comes into real life.
I always tell people to pay attention to how they feel when they wake up.
Very important.
I always tell people that because if you don't, you might miss like what's actually going on in your subconscious.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say like, I've slept 8-9 hours, but I feel mentally fatigued. I'm like, pay attention to what's going on.
And I've had days that, like you said, like I've had days that even from waking up, I know the whole day is kind of ruined because things that happened already in that subconscious spirit is like a form of anomaly. Shouldn't happen.
Yeah. It's hard to talk about these things without sounding crazy though, right? Because obviously people don't understand that, spirituality it's at the core of our
existence.
Yes. It's at the core of our existence. We are spiritual beings. But we do have human experiences. But when people identify with the human experience more so than the spiritual experience, it usually leads to quite a narrow-minded perspective on what spirituality represents. And I was watching some YouTube videos about this guy. He was talking about how we have like three planes of existence.
Yeah.
So like mental, physical,
Yeah.
and spiritual.
Yeah.
And I was like, it made a lot of sense because sometimes your life can change physically, but mentally and spiritually, if you're the old identity that's always like trying to catch you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that something? Has that been something that you've meditated on?
I think I had one experience that, before I delve into this, I had a dream. I was writing the dream. I woke up, I started writing. So just goes to show that, and the whole idea around that writing came from the dream. So it's also like possible, like what you're even doing in the dream. You mentioned earlier, pay attention. Don't just let things like slip under the radar, because it might just be. And even
So
in
do you
dreams,
think the dream can like penetrate reality to the point where you actually start doing what you were doing in the dream in real life,
yeah, it penetrates.
even if you're unconscious?
Yeah, at times it penetrates. Yeah, at times.
Really?
Yeah, even as a writer, and as a writer, as a poet, even now getting to this stage today, I've had like dreams in the past, like where great literary icons.
Do you
came-
sleepwalk?
No, like in the dream, great literary icons, like Nigerian literary icons, literally blessed me. Like, like you say, the blessings of, in the Bible, we talk about the blessings of Abraham, or so where literary icons just blessed me, like, we are, even before I was like this big, we are giving you greatness. Go to the world and conquer. So it shows that, like, don't take your dreams for granted as well. Like, and it's even also being in the public limelight.
Do you find it hard or easy to balance the grandiosity of that thought and humility, or not? So the idea that you are a god and you have all this power and this control over your conscious reality, there's a lot of grandiosity that comes with a thought process like that. Do you find it hard to balance that grandiosity with humility, or do you just feel like that's where your self-esteem is at now?
I think it's easy for me to balance, because I think generally I'm just humble. I don't say, like, I don't. Yeah.
You understand that you're still a part of your physical reality. And
Yeah. Although to my missus at home, I tell her, treat me like I'm a public figure. Treat me as one. She was like, to the outside world, but at home, we see you differently. You get, but I think being a god in a human body, being the one who goes on stage roaring and getting everyone excited, I think it doesn't affect humility. I think my humility is just like a natural human condition as well. I just want to be
so
who
would you
I am.
say humility is our base level?
Yeah.
So people at their base level, they're naturally humble.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the person. For some people, they just, any little achievement, they feel like they're on top of the world, and everyone is beneath them. So it depends on your character as well. Like, just see everyone as, for me, I see everyone as equal. What I've done, anyone else can do it as well.
When you talk about being a god in a human body, do you find more people agree with that affirmation or disagree with it? Like, do you find people find it quite easy to resonate with that affirmation, or do they really struggle to embody it?
Yeah, for me, I even feel like when I say I'm a god in a human body, I'm telling you as well that you're a god in a human body. So I don't even need you to tell me that you do not agree, because we are, like, it's, for me, I think it's the truth. We are all gods. We can all create things. We bring things to life. I'm a descendant of I come from a lineage. I have an ancestry. So it goes to show that I'm not just like a cup of tea.
And you're the latest version of that ancestry.
Yeah. Yeah, I know who I am. So when you know who you are, then I think, so not just me being a god in the human body, but I believe, like, we humans, we are all gods habitating this human body. And I think people limit themselves. People do not, at times people do not see themselves for who they truly are. We speak words to life, they come to pass. We set goals, dreams, visions. There are things we want to achieve. We're able to achieve it. We go to bed at night. We wake up in the morning. It might not be the case for everybody, but we are gods. We are powerful people. We call things that be not and they come to life. That has to be like some level of like godship. Like I create poetry, I create essays, short stories, children's literature. That's some God level, like
Yeah.
God level stuff. Is it ordinary? Like just sitting down here and just imagining stuff. Even we are talking, you're asking questions, I'm responding to you.
Yeah.
It's ability. It's
Yeah.
not like so. It's just for us humans to like appreciate ourselves.
Yeah.
That there's something within. There's something much more powerful. So I don't.
Sometimes I refer to it as like your conscious level of awareness. So like some people are very self-aware.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think you get to a point where the more aware you are of yourself,
Yeah.
how that expresses itself is usually in what you're able to do for yourself.
Yeah.
So why is it, would you say, some people struggle to embrace this idea?
Yeah. I think for me, it might be the environment, the kind of words, the air. Like if everything around you is negative, if everything around you is like bleak, dark, grim. So, and someone is telling you, oh, you're a god in a human body, you can go on to achieve all of this, then you feel like, oh, that's some balderdash.
So people are limited by what they see rather than what they are.
What they say, their circumstances, their thought process, their beliefs, it might be how they are wired as well. Like, so.
And would you say you should have more belief in what you can't see?
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, you can believe in you can believe in what you do not see, but I don't want people just like believing. You must also match it up with like actions as well.
Conviction.
With actions, convictions. What are your works? What do you have? Like for me, like if I want to I have a day job, but if I want to make extra money, I know where to be at. I mean, like with these books, when I go to the market, I will sell. So, like, I have the talent, I have the gift, I have the talent, but I'm also able to, like, now monetize that gift and talent. So, for me, I feel like you have the belief, you have the action, you have all the convictions.
Where do you think that conviction comes from? Is it driven by emotion, would you say, or is it something else?
My own personal conviction.
So, when people are looking to have that same level of conviction, do you think it comes from somewhere, or does it come from like people's emotions? Where do you think that conviction actually comes from?
I think it comes from within. Because who can be your own best cheerleader than yourself? So first of all, to have that conviction, you must believe in yourself. You're selling the product, believe in that product. I'm the Lion of Newcastle. Let's all roar like a lion. So I can't go up on stage and say I'm the lion and I'm timid. After we've done the roaring, everyone is roaring, everyone is energized, everyone, even those who feel like cats or timid or like fishes or worms, everyone is like energized. It reinforces that belief within them as well that they also are lions. So, but for me to be able to project that to the people that, oh, we are all lions in the house, the lions, the lionesses, let's all roar like a lion. I need to believe in myself that I'm a lion as well. I need to embody that force, that powerful force, that creative force. So for me, I believe that it has to start from within. I want to write a book. I have that dream to become an author. Start anyhow. Pull out, just start writing. For most of these books...
Do you think people are maybe just afraid to feel silly or to make mistakes?
But I think the whole idea around life is that we'll make mistakes, we'll rise, we'll fall. Nobody's perfect. There's no, we are all imperfectly perfect, or we are all perfectly imperfect. So nobody is like perfect. We all have our flaws. We are all flawed. As long as you are human, then you are flawed. So with our humanity would come, like, there will be mistakes, there will be failures. But I think what makes us great is like the ability to rise up after every fall. The fact that I have 22 books as well, it doesn't mean I'm perfect. I'm not a perfect human. but when I fall, I rise up again. So I think it's very important for us that like to spread that message that, and even for even the world we live in today, people are seeking like validation online on social media. They want to emulate that person, but the person you're trying to emulate may be going through their own personal struggles, may have their own issues. So that's why it's better like instead of you to get fixated around people, around their lifestyle, within you as a person, be contented with what you have. Do not like don't try to be like anyone else. You just be the best version of yourself. The best. Like just see life as an audition and put your best foot forward. Put like just come out prepared. Because I always tell people like preparation, success comes when preparation meets opportunity. And even like within my career, I was speaking with a colleague, a previous colleague, and she was like, "Oh, the certified anti-money laundering specialist exams, the CAMPS exams. When did you do it?" I said, "I did it in 2017," and she was shocked. At the time I did it, we had like a financial crime compliance project, over 100 people working on that project, and I was like one of two or one of three. So you must always think ahead. Think ahead. How can I become better in my career, in my with my creative works, with my talent, with my family? What's the next big thing? So you are not just waiting for it to happen. How prepared are you? You are thinking of, you want success. You want to live the best life. Are you prepared financially? Are you prepared? Do you have that like financial education? Career wise, are you prepared for that next level? So that when an opportunity comes up in your workplace, because you might not have the experience, but you've done certifications, you've read about it extensively, you watch videos on YouTube, done Udemy learning, you've done Google certifications. So when the role comes up, you put yourself forward, you volunteered. So in the place of preparation, and I think for me, that's the whole purpose. When we talk about living the purposeful life, it's all about getting those little things right. But the best person who can spur us on to that greatness is ourselves, having that conviction, believing in ourselves. When nobody believes in you, investing in yourself as well. Investing in yourself, it could be traveling the world, it could be anything, but just invest in yourself to become a better person. And that is why we have all these books here today.
Yeah. You have to change the way you see yourself if you want a different outcome.
100%.
I love that. There was one other thing that I wanted to speak to about. I think it was more tied around almost like just having your ideas come to life, because I can see that there's a boldness to you, to what you are trying to do with your writing and with your work. And I think there's something quite special and quite unique about that boldness, because it means generally it leads to more creativity. It leads to more expression. I wanted to talk to you about how you feel when it comes to manifestation. And I wanted to talk to you about it because I feel like a lot of your work you've probably just manifested from, ideas that you've had, when you've been engaging with people, dreams. It looks to me like you've got this manifestation stuff quite locked down quite well. As in your ideas are coming to you and you're just putting it out there and you're just going for it, which for me is always quite refreshing to see that somebody's doing that. But I wanted to see how you feel about manifestation.
I think for me, the greatest fear I have is that I always say I don't want to die with a dusty manuscript. And the greatest fear I always have is that, my work in progress, I want it to come out. I want it to come out. I want it to be out. Like, because that manifestation for me is a thing of joy. You've done the work. You've brought this beautiful thing. It's just like a woman who's been pregnant for 9 months, and now you deliver that child. You are so happy. Your family is happy. Everyone around you is happy. So that manifestation, it's a delight. It's a joy. Like nothing tops it. Like for a creative, for anyone out there, you've done something and you are seeing the results. It's a thing of shared joy. And I think for me, I think that's the greatest feeling. The fact that all of the ideas, all of my writings, I've been able to manifest it. And I think that was even my major fear initially that spurred me on to say, oh, Tolu, you have to do this. Because I knew like, oh, I was this bundle of talent. I knew within myself that I was super talented, but without books to show for it, then how would that legacy be defined? If people cannot say like, oh, Tolu used to write like within some small spaces, but without these books, now I have a collection of financial crime compliance poems, architect of a cleaner financial system, which is a legacy defining book as well. The first full-length collection of financial crime compliance poems ever written in the history of humankind. So it goes to show like, so manifestation is like, for me, I think it tops it all.
Yeah.
I think for me it's much more important than money or any other thing that might come from even my writing. The fact that I'm able to write these books and they come to life. And that's why I think for me, I'm much more. Some writers are all about like getting into literary magazines, getting published. Like they want that. They are desperate for the world like to be published in magazines. But I think for me, I'm desperate to manifest. Like my own desperation is just desperation to get my book out there for people to read it. I've written these gems. I've thought about this idea. But my own desperation is before I pass, I want anything that is a work in progress for me. I want it to be out. I want people to read it. I've done this work in my own closet when nobody was there. So manifestation for me, I think, is the ultimate.
You want to be the vessel to all your experiences.
Yeah.
I love that. Was there anything else you wanted me to touch on, Dabs? I feel like I don't want to miss anything, but there's so much that we could talk about.
I feel like, Mike, there's so much that you and Tolu could talk about, and this has been such a great experience sitting back here and just listening in on everything. But I think you guys have talked about most things. Yeah. I can easily see a second episode coming at some point in the future.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tolu, for coming on. It's been a great conversation just to hear more about your story and some of the work that you've produced, the amazing books. And there's some deep wisdom in some of the stuff that you've shared with us today, really. So thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, it's been a pleasure sitting down, talking to you, conversing with you. And I think it's great for us to end with a loud roar. You have to join me this time around. Lions, lionesses, and all their allies. Can I have a loud roar like a lion? Roar. Look at him.